Press and hold the center power button to power on the bike. Hold down the plus and minus buttons simultaneously to reach the settings menu. Scroll down and press the center button to select the battery lock page, and then press it once again to unlock and eject the battery. Place your hand below the battery to support it. Once the top end of the battery is disengaged, press the handle to release the battery and lift it out of the bike. Remove the wire loom from the handlebar controls. With the bike inverted, use a 4mm hex wrench to loosen and remove the rear brake lever clamp bolts. Remove the lever. Disconnect the brake lever sensor and then slide back the brake hose grommet. Use an 8mm open-end wrench to loosen the compression bolt. Slide back the compression bolt and remove the hose end from the brake lever. Plug the lever and the hose ends. Use a 4mm hex wrench to loosen the stem cap preload bolt, and then loosen both of the stem clamping bolts until the stem can be released. Remove the stem. Follow up by removing the headset dust cover and the compression ring. Lift the fork and front wheel up and out of the frame. Use a 3mm hex wrench to remove the two bolts that mount the terminal assembly to the frame. Use a 3mm hex wrench to remove the two bolts that mount the battery lock assembly to the frame. Use a 2.5mm hex wrench to remove the two bolts that secure the controller assembly to the frame. Lift up the controller cover. Use a 2.5mm hex wrench to remove the three bolts that attach the cable cover plate within the battery compartment. Remove the cover plate. Carefully cut and remove the zip ties retaining the rear brake hose to the frame, and then use a 5mm hex wrench to remove the two rear brake caliper bolts. Guide the rear brake hose out of the bike. Swap the rear brake assembly. Install the rear caliper to the frame using a 5mm hex wrench. Do not tighten the bolts fully just yet. Guide the new brake hose into the controller compartment, through the battery compartment, and out of the head tube. Feed the brake hose end through the dust cover and cable spacer. Reinstall the fork into the head tube, ensuring the lower headset bearing is still in place. Replace the compression ring with the opening containing the cables toward the front of the bike as shown. Install the dust cover onto the head tube. While keeping the cables oriented forward, press the dust cover flush against the head tube of the bike. Guide the headset spacers along the stem, back onto the steerer tube, and use a 4mm hex wrench to thread on the stem compression bolt. Continue to tighten the bolt until the stem is fully seated. Ensure the headset is properly preloaded while ensuring there is still good movement in the steering. Remove the plug from the end of the new brake lever. Install the hose grommet, compression bolt, and then olive, as shown. Remove the plug bolt on the end of the hose using a 2mm hex wrench. Carefully insert the brake hose into the lever end while retaining the olive on the end of the hose. While keeping the hose in place, thread in the compression bolt. Tighten until snug with an 8mm open-end wrench. Do not over-tighten. Replace the hose grommet and reconnect the brake sensor. Use a 4mm hex wrench to remove the two brake lever clamp bolts. Position the rear brake lever onto the handlebar and reinstall the two bolts using a 4mm hex wrench. Return the lever to the desired angle and snug the bolts in place. Replace the zip ties that secure the brake hose to the chainstay of the frame. Trim the excess tie ends flush. Tighten the two caliper bolts while keeping the rotor centered between the brake pads. Torque the two bolts to 9 to 12 Newton meters. Reinstall the two controller cover bolts using a 2.5mm hex wrench. Organize the cables and align the cable cover plate to the mounting holes in the battery compartment and reinstall the 3 mounting bolts with a 2.5mm hex wrench. Position the battery lock assembly in place and reinstall the 2 mounting bolts using a 3mm hex wrench. Guide the terminal back into the frame and reinstall the mounting bolts using a 3mm hex wrench. With the bike upright, replace the cable wire loom on both sides of the handlebar controls. Align the handlebars with the front wheel and then use a 4mm hex wrench to tighten the stem clamping bolts and alternate between the two while torquing them to 6 Nm. Reinstall the battery by inserting the bottom first and pressing the top to lock it in place. Press and hold the center power button to power on the bike and test for proper function. Be sure to follow the brake bedding in process on our help desk.